And we will get started. Okay. Well, thank you all for tuning in. My name is Sadie Swear, and I am the director of SDCO East Women's Business Center. And you saw our name when you were registering for this event and when you were logging in to our program. But really, we are excited to do this alongside our SBA district partners, as well as some other folks who are joining to share some great information on surety bonds. This Women's Business Center focuses on the east side of South Dakota, but really we help anybody who is looking at starting a business, and our mission is to empower women and propel economic development across the state. And we do that by free business advising and events like this, as well as in-person events. And so really excited to learn more, not only professionally, but personally. I'm really excited to share this information with our clients, and I'm going to kick it off to the Deputy District Director, Bryson Patterson, and let's get it started.
Great. Thanks so much, Sadie. The WBC is a tremendous resource partner here for us in Eastern South Dakota, and we appreciate you so much for hosting this event. We are very fortunate to be able to use technology to bring in from distant parts an expert on the surety bond program and surety bonds, and that is Tamara Murray, our underwriting marketing specialist from the Office of Surety Guarantees here at SBA. She's going to break down some information about, what is sureties, how do we get sureties, how do we get larger sureties, all that good information. And then following up will be our other terrific resource partner here in South Dakota, the South Dakota Apex Accelerator, represented by our friend and colleague Marcella Hurley, who is the state program director for that program. I ask that you hold your questions to the end, and Tamara and Marcella will be able to answer those for you. With that, Tamara, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Bryson. Thank you, Sadie. It's a pleasure to be here today. We've got some good information for y'all. I know we do. So appreciate you taking time out of your day to join us to learn a little bit more about bonding. And I highly recommend meeting with the Apex Accelerator. You'll learn why from Marcella a little bit later. So if you haven't already done that, that is absolutely a fantastic resource. And of course, can't say enough about the WBCs. We got a lot of good women here with you today, which is always nice. So as Bryson mentioned, I'm with SBA's Surety Bond Guarantee Program. I've been here for over 15 years now, helping to open doors to bonding for small businesses who need our assistance. I've actually been in the surety industry, I'm going to date myself here, for over 30 years. So, if you do have questions, I'll be available during the Q&A. Feel free to ask those questions. And, even if it's not related to what we do in the Surety Bond Guarantee Program, I may have an answer or be able to provide some guidance to you if it's related to some other bond type. But what you hopefully came here for today was to learn more about surety bonds, okay? And my goal today is really to demystify all of that. So if you don't understand the terminology and you're not sure what we're talking about when we're talking about surety bonds and contract bonds and all of these things, then hopefully you'll walk away from today with some empowering knowledge. That's my goal, to make it easier for you to kind of understand what all of this means when you're talking about performing bonded work. Now, I am going to briefly turn off my video just to make it easier for everyone to kind of focus on the presentation, but I'm still here. I'll be available during the Q&A. So I'd really just like to start off with some definitions. If you're not familiar with the surety industry, with surety bonds, with contract bonds, you're probably going, what the heck are all these terms? What are you talking about? So a few definitions might be in order before we kind of get into this a little bit more. So surety bonds is an umbrella term. There are many different types of surety bonds available out there in the marketplace. If you've ever heard of court bonds, like appeals bonds or customs bonds, If you are a contractor and you've ever had to pull a license and permit bond, those are all surety bonds. Contract bonds are also surety bonds. And these are the bonds that we're going to be talking about today, because these are the bonds that we guarantee here at SBA to help small businesses grow and succeed. There are 4 contract surety bonds: bid, performance, payment, and maintenance. And I would bet you can probably figure out when you might need a bid bond. You'll need a bid bond when you're bidding on a project. And what the bid bond does is it assures your project owner that you've already qualified for the performance, payment, and maintenance bonds, those other 3 bonds that they may require to secure the contract if they choose to award the contract to you. So it's a form of pre-qualification. So your project owner knows that you can bond that job. Those other 3 bonds come in different combinations: the performance, payment, and maintenance bond. So the performance and payment bond, you will typically see those 2 required together most often. The performance bond assures your project owner that you will perform the contract. You'll complete the contract in accordance with its terms and conditions. The payment bond assures the project owner that you're going to pay your bills on the job. You'll pay your subcontractors and your labor and materials suppliers for their work on the job. So taken together, when you have a project owner that requires both a performance and a payment bond, they are assured that when you complete the project, they will have a fully completed functional project with no liens or unpaid bills. Now that 4th bond, the maintenance bond, sometimes comes into play. It really varies greatly from contract to contract. What the maintenance bond does is it supports the maintenance agreement that you probably have in your contract. It assures the project owner that you will maintain the workmanship and materials on the project for a period of time after the work is accepted by the project owner. Now, typically, it is businesses that are in construction, vertical and horizontal construction, that need these contract surety bonds. So if you're re-roofing, remodeling, you're putting in HVAC, you're a masonry contractor, you're a plumber, you lay asphalt, those are the types of industries, those are the types of contracts where these contract bonds are typically going to be required. But even service, supply, and manufacturing projects can require contract bonds, especially if you're looking at some of those projects that are going to be coming down through the bipartisan infrastructure law. If you're looking at some of those projects, there are going to be bond requirements in many of those jobs. As an example, just in general, the federal government requires bonds on construction contracts when they're greater than $150,000. So if you're looking to perform contracts for any type of construction and the project owner is the federal government, you can expect if that project is more than $150,000, it is going to require performance and payment bonds. But bond requirements on non-construction contracts at the federal level can also be required, and that really varies at the discretion of the contracting officer. You're also going to find that other public and private project owners, even general contractors, may also have their own bond requirements, perhaps even on smaller contract sizes. So what that really means is that you, as a small business owner, need to be aware of any bond requirements on your contracts as soon as they land in your inbox or on your desk. Because these bond requirements vary from project to project, it really is on you to make that determination. So look at that first thing when those RFPs, when those contracts land on your desk. You want to look for those bond requirements right off the bat. If you need to establish bonding for the first time to get bonding on a new project, or if you need to increase your bonding capacity to accommodate a new job, you're going to need time to do that. Now, SBA guarantees bonds on all types of contracts and subcontracts up to $6.5 million in contract size, and on prime federal awards to small businesses up to $10 million. So we're not just here to support your federal jobs or even your public jobs. We are able to provide bond guarantees on any contract type up to $6.5 million in size. And that's important to your surety company in getting you some of the advantages that I'll be talking about in just a moment that SBA provides by providing this support. So first off, though, I want to talk about what it takes to qualify for bonding, because if you've never been through this process, this is going to be a very interesting process for you. It's kind of unique to the surety industry, but I will tell you that applying for contract bonding capacity is very similar to applying for a loan. You are asking a third party, the surety company, to stand behind your business and represent to your project owners that you are the best option for their job, that you will successfully complete the work and pay all your bills on the job. And if that doesn't happen for one reason or another, the surety company, by providing the bond, is agreeing to step in and make the project owner whole under the terms of the bonds that they've issued on your behalf. So it is a credit relationship. So the surety company is going to start off right off the bat looking at what we call the 3 C's of surety: capacity, capital, and character. Your bond limits, your bonding capacity will be based on this review. If you're not familiar with bonding capacity, you'll have a per project bond limit. That's the largest project that your surety will bond for you. And you'll have a total or aggregate limit. That is the total amount of ongoing work that your surety will allow you to have on hand at any one time. Now, to establish those limits, the first thing that the surety company is going to be looking at is capacity. And capacity really relates to your ability to complete the work. So this typically includes a review of your company's work experience in your particular field and your business management practices. Now, the surety company will typically collect all this information about your business through a contractor's questionnaire. The surety is then going to use your experience to determine your per project bond limit. Usually that's set at about 2 times your largest completed project. So if you've successfully completed a $500,000 project and you meet all of the other requirements in this area that we're talking about, the 3 C's, then you should be able to qualify for a bond on about $1 million project. Once you've successfully completed a $1 million project, your surety should be willing to look at a $2 million project. And that's how you just slowly grow your single bond limit with your surety until you're happy with the sizes of projects that you can bond. Next up is capital, and capital relates to your company's cash flow, profitability in recent years, and the quality of your financial statement. Now here, it's primarily the working capital that the surety company is looking at. So from your business financial statements, the surety is going to calculate your working capital, and that's what they're going to use to determine your total or aggregate bonding limit. Remember, that's that second number of bonding capacity that I mentioned. So that means that the more working capital you have, the more aggregate or total bonding capacity you can have. And that aggregate is important because that's what allows you to perform multiple projects simultaneously and to stack your projects. So you can move your crews from one job to the next as one project is wrapping up and another one is just getting started. So with the capital area, you'll typically be asked to provide your surety with several years of business financial statements, the owner's personal financial statements, and a bank reference letter. Then last but certainly not least is character, which includes the credit history of the owners of your business. So again, this is a credit relationship, and there's not a whole lot of information out there. D&B used to run business credit for some businesses. They used to maintain that database, but it can be really difficult to find any information on business credit and a credit score. So surety companies are really going to look at the personal credit of the owners of your business, because that gives them an idea of how you personally pay your bills and how you probably run your business. Good character is important to qualifying for contract bonding, and it is absolutely essential to obtaining an SBA bond guarantee. As you can imagine, many of the small businesses that come to SBA for assistance are challenged in the areas of capacity, capital, maybe even personal credit, or all three. So we really do rely on the drive and determination of our small business owners to successfully complete their contracts, no matter what challenges they face. Now, this underwriting process with the surety company can take several days to maybe even a week to complete. And I encourage you to begin now, so you'll be prepared for that next bonded project. You don't even have to have a need for a bond to start this process. You can pre-qualify with a bond agent and a surety company today, come out the other side of that pre-qualification process knowing your bonding capacity. So you can put that into databases like SAM. You can put that into your portfolios when you are presenting to clients. And maybe even more importantly, you know what sizes of projects you can bond. So as you go out and you start looking for those bonded projects, you know which ones you will be able to bond, and you can ignore the ones that you know don't fit within your bonding capacity. So you can take care of that today and get everything set up and ready to go before you even have a need for a bond. Now, this evaluation process, of course, we have found over the last 50 years can be challenging for small businesses. You know, if you've never completed a project, or maybe only completed very small projects, how are you going to show the surety company that capacity, that you have the ability to successfully complete a much larger job? Maybe your business has inadequate working capital, or the owner's credit isn't up to a surety company's normal standards. That's where the Surety Bond Guarantee Program helps small businesses. SBA levels the playing field for small businesses by guaranteeing 80 or 90% of each bond based on the demographics of your business. So SBA's guarantee really means that your surety is only risking 10 or 20% of the contract value instead of the full 100%, because they have SBA's guarantee to rely on if there is a contract default. It's SBA's guarantee to the surety that makes our surety partners willing to help small businesses obtain the bonding capacity that they need to grow. And they get our guarantee on every contract that's eligible for our program. That's an important note and leads me into why you get the two biggest benefits of the SBG program from having our guarantee on your project. Because your surety's got SBA's guarantee on all of your bonded projects, it eliminates a lot of their exposure, their liability for issuing bonds for small businesses. That means that just by virtue of having SBA's guarantee, many small businesses access the first big advantage of our program. And that is that you can obtain up to twice as much total bonding capacity without any additional working capital. So just because your surety has SBA bond guarantees on all of your projects, they are willing to up to double your total bonding capacity. And that's important, remember, because it's that total bonding capacity that allows you to have a lot more work ongoing at any given time and move your crews from one job to another so that you never, cross your fingers, run out of work. Now, there's a second advantage to our program that relates to a working capital bank line of credit. That is another asset that can increase your bonding capacity with SBA support. That's because we and our surety partners count the unused portion of working capital bank lines of credit as actual working capital that's available to your business. Since more working capital typically means more bonding capacity, having a bank line of credit and SBA support can take your bonding capacity to the next level. Here's an example. Let's say you have a $50,000 working capital bank line that you can draw on anytime you need cash, and you have $25,000 available on that line. That's an additional $25,000 that gets added to whatever working capital you have on your financial statement. And since more working capital means more bonding capacity, that helps to increase your bonding capacity. These advantages are only available to small businesses in SBA's Surety Bond Guarantee Program. Now, there's one other hurdle that we've found over the years that can be challenging for small businesses, and that is the fact that many surety companies require CPA prepared financial statements, especially as you get up into multi-million-dollar project sizes. Well, here at SBA, we can guarantee bonds for larger projects, even if you don't have the CPA prepared financial statements that surety companies typically require. We and our surety partners will often accept internally prepared business financial statements for many contracts up to $2 million in size. So you can get bonded on that larger contract and give yourself the time and the opportunity to connect with a CPA and have your financial statements upgraded for your next year end or to support that next large bond need. We guarantee over $7 billion a year in contract bonds. And last year, we helped over 1,600 small businesses obtain the bonds that they needed to grow. Now, you're probably wondering how long it'll take to get an SBA bond guarantee. I'm sorry to say that, many federal agencies have a reputation for dragging their feet. I can say that that is not the case with us here at SBA. And in the Office of Surety Guarantees, our partners, our surety partners, have access to an electronic application process to help you obtain your bond guarantee as quickly as possible. Now, within those limits that I told you, the $6.5 million for any contract size or up to $10 million on a federal prime contract, we have standard applications and we have a quick application. Now, the quick application is amazing. It is almost half of all of the bonds that we guarantee here at SBA. It is designed for small, simple projects up to $500,000 in size. And it eliminates a lot of the paperwork that we just talked about when I talked about the 3 C's. So to get a bond guarantee and to get a bond approved by a surety under our quick app, you don't need business financial statements, you don't need work in process, you probably don't need a contractor's questionnaire. So a lot of the normal paperwork that's required to qualify for bonding is out the window. So it's a very popular program for us here at SBA, and we are able to approve bond guarantees under our quick app program in less than a day, sometimes within hours. Now, if your project doesn't fit our quick app, that doesn't mean you can't get a fast bond guarantee from SBA. We typically approve bond guarantees outside of our quick app, which is, again, about 50% of our applications, in about 2 days on average. We realize that you have a deadline to meet. If you're submitting a bid and you don't have your bid bond in time for that bid letting, you're not going to be selected part of the selection for, the lowest responsive bidder. You're just not going to make the list because you didn't have your bid bond. Same thing with your performance and payment bonds. You'll be lucky if you have 30 days. Most often you have about 10 days to provide your contract bonds once you've been awarded a contract. So we're not adding a whole lot of time onto that process, recognizing that you have a very limited amount of time to get your bonds in. Now, to be eligible for the Surety Bond Guarantee Program, your business must be small by SBA's definition. You must be a U.S.-based for-profit business with legal resident owners. Your business and all owners must also possess good character, be current on public debts and taxes, be eligible to do business with the federal government, and not be involved in a current bankruptcy proceeding. You'll need to pass that 3 C's underwriting process that I mentioned earlier. And finally, need a contract bond that you're unable to obtain elsewhere with reasonable terms. Now, the great thing about that qualification for this program, reasonable terms, is that you as the small business owner get to decide what's reasonable. If your surety has declined to provide you with bonding, if your surety is requiring collateral to support your bond program, if your surety is limiting your bonding capacity for one reason or another, if you think that's unreasonable, yeah, I said that right, unreasonable, then you just self-certified for our program. You've already met that eligibility requirement. Now, there are some costs associated with bonding and with SBA's guarantee. We don't charge a fee for bid bond guarantees, but once you're awarded a contract and need a performance or payment bond, you'll pay SBA a fee of 0.6% of the contract amount for our bond guarantee. I also want to make sure that you're aware of the surety's premium. This is a separate amount that you'll pay to the surety company for providing your bonds. Now, this is one that I can't pin down for you, but I can say that surety premiums typically vary from about 1 to 3% of the contract value, depending on several factors, including the type of work that you perform and the state where the project is located. So I recommend, in addition to knowing your bonding capacity, that once you've pre-qualified for bonding or received your first bond approval, be sure to find out what your surety's premium rate is in each of the states where you perform work. Once you can calculate your total bond cost, your surety's premium plus SBA's 0.6% fee, if you're using our program, then you can include that total bond cost on your bonded projects and be reimbursed by your project owner. If your project requires bonds, your total bond cost is an allowable billable job cost. So make sure that you include it so it does not come out of your profits on the job. Now, if you haven't already figured it out, we don't write bonds here at SBA. We guarantee bonds that are written by our surety partners. So it's really our network of sureties who help us give small businesses the opportunity to get the bonding they need to compete for larger contracts, maybe to go out and bid as a prime instead of as a sub, to help you grow and gain access to those new revenue streams. SBA's authorized agents have access to over 40 surety companies providing bonds to small businesses. And I bet you've seen some of these surety companies' commercials online for their insurance. You may not have known that they not only write surety bonds for contractors, but they also participate with us here in SBA to help small businesses through the Surety Bond Guarantee Program. Now, most bond agents represent several SBA and non-SBA surety companies. So your bond agent can work with you to find you the best surety company to meet your needs. So you can get started today, whether you want to pre-qualify for bonding and find out how much capacity you can qualify for, or if you have a bid or a performance bond need that you need to get handled right now. If you want to have access to our program, visit our website at sba.gov/OSG, select your state from the drop-down, and you will see an extensive list of SBA authorized agents who can help you. When you bring that list up, that is a list of agents all over the country who are able to assist small businesses in South Dakota, if you're located in South Dakota. If you happen to be joining us from somewhere else, thank you. You can look up your state and you will still see a number of agents who are authorized by SBA to support bonding for small businesses and that can help you. So because the list is extensive, what I recommend is that you narrow down that list in some way, shape, or form. Maybe you want to narrow it down to bond agents whose area codes you recognize as being more local to your area. However you choose to narrow that list down, I suggest narrowing it down to 2 or 3 and then call them to interview them. A good professional bond agent goes beyond providing you with a bond and helping you obtain SBA's bond guarantee. They can refer you to a qualified CPA in your area if you need that. They can even create a roadmap to help you get more bonding capacity or help ensure that you meet the underwriting requirements for contract bonding if that's been a challenge for you. SBA authorized agents can talk to you about the Surety Bond Guarantee Program, of course, and how that might affect the amount of bonding capacity that you can qualify for. So that's a very important relationship. Choose the bond agent that you think will be the best addition to your small business advisory team. Your bond agent should be like your banker. Your bond agent is who you want to pick up and talk to, pick up the phone and talk to Anytime you have a question about your bonding capacity, about how the surety company is looking at your financial statements, about how you can get more bonding, all of those questions, your bond agent should be able to help you with. When you work with an agent who partners with the Surety Bond Guarantee Program here at SBA, you have a chance to grow your business by competing for more contracts. And you can only access SBA's bond guarantee through an authorized bond agent and surety company. Now, before we wrap up, I think it's very impactful when small business owners hear a success story about another small business. And I've got a really good one for you. This is one of my favorites, and so I include this in my presentations all the time. So Vera Hall came to SBA in 2019. Her minority woman-owned small business was only able to bond projects of about $250,000. She talked to her SBA authorized bond agent, started the application process for a project that she was interested in bidding, was a sole source set aside, and she got SBA's bond guarantee on that project at $650,000, and that became her first SBA guaranteed project bond. So she went from $250,000 project size to $650,000 project size with SBA's guarantee. That was the first one in 2019. Fast forward now to 2023, and Vera's company is bonding projects larger than $3 million with SBA support. So over the last few years, she's gone from $650,000 to over $3 million in job size. And you can probably imagine how that has helped her small business succeed against a lot of other businesses out there that you have to compete with for some of those bonded projects. When they're open, competitive projects, they're public awards, there's a lot of competition out there for those jobs. So if you need to gain access to those contract bonds and you've been struggling to do so, that's why I'm here today. I would love to know what I can do to help you access bonding today. So if you have questions, again, make a note of those. You could probably type those into the Q&A if you would like to do that. I will be happy to answer any questions you might have once we reach that portion of today's event. But you know, even if you don't have a question today, maybe you're just gathering information. Maybe you're gathering information for yourself, for the future. Maybe it's for somebody else. I'll just thank you for your time. And if you would like to reach out to me after today, please don't hesitate to do so. My phone number and my email address are included here. And I would be happy to talk to you about how SBA can help open doors to bonding for your small business. It is now my absolute pleasure to introduce Marcella Hurley from the Apex Accelerator. As we said when I got started, if you haven't already sat down and met with your Apex Accelerator, they can really help explain a lot of this bonding stuff, along with how you can gain access to contracting opportunities. So it's my pleasure to introduce Marcella from your local Apex Accelerator. Marcella, take it away.
Thank you, Tamara, and what valuable information, so valuable. As Tamara said, we are formerly PTAC, Procurement Technical Assistance, and we are now under the direction of Department of Defense. So we are known as the South Dakota Apex Accelerator, accelerating American entrepreneurship. We serve as the axis for existing and new business to strengthen the defense industrial base, accelerate innovation, foster ingenuity, and establish resilient and diverse supply chains. So what does that mean? That means working with a wonderful team, the Small Business Development Center, Small Business Innovative Research, International Trade Center, Manufacturing and Technology Solutions, Enterprise Institute, and of course our network existing of SBA, Women's Business Centers, West River Business Services, South Dakota Planning Districts, the University of South Dakota, and the Governor's Office of Economic Development. We help businesses get started, market to the government, find opportunities, bid proposal guidance, post-award assistance, and advanced contracting services. Our role is to provide businesses with guidance and education on selling to state, local, or federal government, and this means helping businesses find opportunities, build relationships with agencies, write successful proposals, gain experience, ensure compliance. And our team of contracting specialists across the state work with businesses to tailor a plan specific to the business and industry to provide an overview of the process of identifying the local, state, or federal contracting government contracts. You know, the federal government is required to spend 23% of federal contracting dollars with small businesses. It also has goals to spend certain percentages with companies who qualify for following programs: 5% for woman-owned small business, 5% for SDBs, 3% for service-disabled veteran-owned small business, and 3% for hub zone businesses. The importance of building relationships and networking cannot be understated. The Apex Accelerator Contracting Specialists assist the business in reaching the key players in this process and to understand what that person is responsible for. And we do that primarily through the capability statement, talking about core capabilities, what goods and services can the company provide, past performance, what has been provided, who have we worked with, what services have we provided, differentiators, why should they choose you over the competitors, company data, what certifications and contracting vehicles do you have, and contact information, how do you prefer to be contacted? State local bid opportunities are commonly found on the agency website. There are hundreds of cities, counties, states, and local school districts that could be potential customers. Federal bid opportunities expected to exceed 25,000 are required to be on SAM. This site allows you to set up custom searches, and it'll alert you to set up custom opportunities that match your criteria. However, the opportunities on these sites likely exceed 25,000. Our bid match services provide a no-cost, once daily email notice of bid opportunities, which search federal, state, and local government websites. The government uses a variety of instruments to gather information and offer to companies. The Apex Contracting Specialists will help businesses consider, is it within your core competency? Do you have past performance in this area? Do you have a relationship with the agency? Is there an incumbent? How long has the incumbent held that contract? What competitive advantages do you have? And what was the previous contract pricing? Can your pricing be competitive? Can you successfully perform? Can you make a profit at that bid? And can you comply with all the regulations? The Apex Consular Contract Specialists provide post-award assistance as well to help you understand what's needed to be successful and continue selling products. They provide education on the contract administration. They counsel clients about post-award performance and regulatory compliance. They assist with interpretation of specifications, and they guide companies on implementing subcontracting goals, explaining specialized systems such as wide area workflow and other electronic business invoicing systems. There are also advanced contracting services, which the contracting specialist can explain. Experienced contractors with good standing in the federal marketplace can serve as mentors to small businesses known as proteges. The intent of these programs is to grow those capabilities of that small business. So when a small business searches an opportunity and it looks like an opportunity that is far too big for that business to take on, another thought might be, can that prime work as a good mentor as if I take the role of protege? There are also GSA schedule contracts, there's teaming and joint ventures, there's SBIR and STTR opportunities for researchers, And there's dibs and manufacturing contracts, which are available as well. And we can explain all of those opportunities and the internet board system and the platforms through the DLA, Defense Logistic Agencies, through which procurements are conducted. Here is our team. We are part of the South Dakota Business Development Center network, and we are pleased to be having SBA in our network and as our host. This is my contact opportunity. I'm the state program director. You're welcome to email me at any point in time. Also, you can leave a voice message, and we have this great voice messaging system, so your voice message will appear as an email. Amy is our senior contracting specialist out of Rapid City. Here's her contracting information and the counties that she covers. Bob is a contract specialist out of the Pierre area, covering these counties. Jen and Fred are out of the Yankton area, covering these counties. Also, you can follow these websites to do further research on product or services that are provided. usaspending.gov, sam.gov, fpds.gov, and acquisition.gov will tell you information about existing spending processes. And you can do this face-to-face, or you can do a Zoom call with your contracting specialist, and we are happy to assist. We work with referrals from cities, state, local, SBIR, South Dakota Trade, looking for opportunities for both primes and small business subcontractors, as well as opportunities with that new infrastructure bill that we just talked about. Now, also, Tamara mentioned that the bonding requirement is at the discretion of the contracting officer. So we can help you read through that 100-page solicitation and determine if there is a bonding requirement and if it's suitable for you. And our role here in this environment would be to refer you then to the SBA surety experts, as well as the SBDC network, to compile your financial overview and prepare you for this experience. Thank you, and back to you.
Great, thanks so much. We really appreciate it. If folks have questions, you can raise your hand, or you can put some questions in the chat. Really terrific presentation. We really appreciate it. Some useful information, some good sites, sba.gov/OSG, to get some more information on where you can find those bonding companies that are working with SBA. But yeah, let's open it up. Any questions in the chat? Any hands raised?
You can also unmute yourself too. Feel free to do that. I have a question though. Tamara and Marcella, thanks again for doing this. Do either of you see common industries or trends in really specific areas that are commonly using bonds right now?
I'll defer to you first, Tamara.
No, we're not hearing you.
Having trouble finding my buttons. Thank you. I appreciate that. Feels like a Monday today. You know, we are seeing a lot of subcontracting trades, right? That's where we tend to see more of the bond requirements. We have fewer general contracting firms that need our assistance. I think that's just primarily because, you know, they're larger. They don't have quite the overhead that specialty contractors have. So I will tell you that the kind of top leader of small businesses that we support are water and sewer contractors. They're at the top of the list. I can't explain why, but I'm guessing because of the aging infrastructure that we have.
Yeah, that makes sense. We definitely have a lot of water and sewer projects going on in South Dakota right now.
I agree. And when I was with SBDC, I experienced clients that were small and didn't know if they would be eligible. And they worked closely with their bank relationship, and their bank relationship referred them to a surety expert. And they began small, as the example you gave, and then they grew. And they started as a sub, and then they went to 8A, and they took on some projects under Lisa's expertise. And so they just grew. And that's the best and safest way to go, to show that you are a good benefit to the contracting specialist, that you're low risk at the money that they're spending on your projects. So again, your advice, I think, is just right on. Start small if you need to, and move on.
The question about Tamara, for the pricing on bonds. So when the SBA guarantee is applied, essentially the bonding company is still going to charge the same rate, but they're going to be able to increase basically the bonding capacity of the contractor. Is that'd be a good way to phrase it? No, help me out.
It is if a small business is working with a surety company who has not modified their rates. So we have many surety partners who would normally, let's say, charge 2.5% for their bonds. And again, those rates vary depending on the state in which the project is located, what type of work you do, what information you're providing. If you're doing something under a credit-based program like our Quick app, oftentimes that's credit-based with the surety company, you're going to pay a higher rate. But what I can say is that many of our surety partners charge about 1.8% to compensate for that 0.6% that you're paying to SBA. So not all of our sureties charge their normal rate. Many of our sureties have reduced their rates by about 0.5% because they recognize that you're going to be paying that additional 0.6% to SBA. So that helps to make small businesses more competitive against other firms who maybe aren't using our program and aren't subject to that additional 0.6%. So, we all know margins are tight, right? If that's something that's of concern to you, that's a good question to ask to, your agent and your surety company when you start that process of working through an SBA authorized agent. Your agent needs to know that, you don't want to be working with a surety company that's charging 3%. And so your agent will be able to advise you what surety companies they have access to, what information you're going to need to provide, and help you kind of ferret out what's the right fit as far as your surety company goes, to make sure that you're getting a competitive rate if that's super important to you.
Oh yeah, no, that's really helpful. Thank you. And Marcella, as people are looking at potential contracts, they're thinking about bidding on them. What are some resources that they can use to sort of help them pencil out their costs, and include some of these bonding costs and stuff in that? Is that something you can help them with, or who should they be talking to about that?
I work with clients to first look at the solicitation. Every solicitation is different, and then once we determine what their interest is, I would refer them directly to SBDC, because they are the experts that are going to help put their financials together, do a projection, find out what they can afford to do. The most expensive thing you can do is grow. So
Yeah.
That's where the SBDC experts play a significant role in helping them frame what they can afford to do without keeping them between the ditches, and what they can afford to bid safely and grow slowly.
Oh, that's terrific. I'm not seeing any other questions come through. Any other hands? Okay. Ladies, any parting words for our audience this afternoon?
I would just say thank you for joining us, and do visit with our offices and just explore the opportunities. It's a learning experience. The more you explore, the more the light comes on. You say, wait a minute, maybe I can do that.
Awesome.
Absolutely. I agree, Marcella. Start early. Don't wait. That's probably the biggest thing for me. Yeah, thank you for your time. I appreciate you having me today. But, I get those phone calls from small businesses more frequently than I would like, who are in a panic because they have a project that requires a bid bond, or they've been awarded a contract and they're down to their last 2 days to get their bonds. And so, don't put yourself in that position. Take advantage of the knowledge that you've gotten today and start that process now so you'll be prepared for the future.
I would also say that the experts in our network, no matter who they are not just going to get you started and put you on your way. They're going to walk you through the whole process. So you may meet with them, and then you may come back and meet again, and you may come back and meet again and have completely different questions. So consider us part of your new family, and we'll help you grow.
That's terrific. Thank you both. We really appreciate it. Sadie?
There you go. All right, well, thank you all so much. This has been a recording and it will be posted in our on-demand library for videos. So if you have any more questions, reach out to these folks. But again, you can access this webinar after it gets posted. So have a wonderful rest of your day and stay tuned for more webinars like this. Thank you.
Bye-bye, everybody.
Bye.